What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Welcome back to another retro review. This is The Wire Season 2, Episode 11. We are almost done. Let me tell y'all something. There's nothing more frustrating than doing a whole review and something going wrong with the file. Like, I was literally at the end. Like, literally, I was getting ready to be like, all right, let me know what y'all think in the comments. Boom. And something went wrong with the file. And when I tell you that review was like 30 minutes long, so I'm going to try to make this one under 30 minutes. But let's get into it. Anyway. So this episode starts off, they have the search warrants and they are busting down doors. They are in Nikki's apartment. Well, Nikki's house. He lived in the basement with his parents. You know, parents live upstairs. They done went to the warehouses. They done went to the electronics shop. They done all of these things. And of course, we know because they got the heads up that it was nothing there. Now, Frankie was the only dummy that he didn't get the heads up. So they found drugs and money at Frankie's house. And they left a card with Frankie's dad, basically. I mean, Nikki's dad, basically saying, when he get here, you need to tell him to call us. Tell him to turn himself in, and he need to come and call us. Now, Frank is over his house, and he sees them on the paper. And, of course, Ziggy is on the front paper with the 3 murders. And when they were at the electronics store, they saw the blood stain on the floor, and they were like, well, what happened here? So when they get back to the headquarters, they end up calling to find out. They find out that there was a whole homicide there that they ain't know nothing about. So Daniel's heads down there, and he's pissed off, and he's talking to Lansdowne, and he's like, it never occurred to anybody to let us know that there was a double homicide or a murder, attempted murder, involving the Greeks and a Ziggy who worked at the docks. Like, y'all didn't make no connection. Y'all know I took these 13 murders up off of y'all. And nobody felt like they needed to call me and let me know what was going on. And Lansdowne was very apologetic and everything. He was like, my bad, we didn't make the connection. It was my fault. It's on me. So Daniels is frustrated and pissed off, but it is what it is. Now, while this is going on, Stanley, Lieutenant Standusky, they made the bust down to the Union Hall, and they took Frank out in handcuffs. And they gave him a good old perp walk. They actually waited till the media showed up before they gave him the perp walk, because, of course, that's what it was all about. It was all about, you know, humiliating him and all of that, because that's all Stan wanted from the beginning of this whole situation. We know that, right? So Frankie finally gets home, because, you know, Frankie stayed the night out, honey. He wasn't home that night. Lucky for him, he won't there. But he stayed the night out, and he was over with some woman. She's not important. Some woman he was with, child. So he gets home, and his father is like, so you had drugs up in my house? Like, really? He said, I tell you what, the police left their car, and you need to go turn yourself in. And his daddy ain't have a whole lot of words for him, and Nikki knew, oh, shit. Like, he already knew, oh, shit. So down to the headquarters, the task force headquarters, they're interviewing all the people that they picked up. Now, of course, the madam ain't saying nothing. The Greeks ain't saying nothing, right? They got the muscle man for the Greek. Well, they didn't get the number 2 guy, but they got the muscle man. He ain't saying nothing. But White Mike, y'all remember White Mike? White Mike was the one that that Nikki knew from school that he was making the transactions with. He was like, listen, if y'all give me the right deal, I sing like a jaybird. I will tell you whatever you want to know. And so, of course, that's what they end up doing. They get the information they can get out of him. The DA cuts a deal with him. Beatty was pissed. She was like, I done all this work for you to cut deals. Now he going to get off on probation. And he was like one of the main people we was looking at. And they was like, Beatty, that's how it worked down here. We just want the next person up on the totem pole. And if he going to give us the next person up on the totem pole, then that's what we're going to keep on climbing until we get to the top. Remember, we still trying to solve 13 murders, and we still trying to get to the Greek. He ain't the Greek, and he ain't know nothing about no murders. So for real, in the grand scheme of things, he ain't even what we looking at. So he is able to give them enough information that they're able to find out who the second in command is. He was able to get enough information to get his name and where, you know, where they were able to find an address for him. So when Lieutenant Daniels gets back to the precinct, gets back to the, you know, the headquarters, and he's, you know, they're trying to figure out their next move. And he looks at the FBI guy, and he was like, so, you know, we figured out where the dude lived. We need to do some surveillance. Can you help us out? And he was like, sir, I don't know if you noticed, but look around you. The FBI got what they wanted. I'm the only one still here. Now, I'm here, and I'm down. But please understand, this is all you getting from the FBI at this point. So they come up with this whole surveillance where they're going to follow the number 2 guy, follow him from his house, and they follow him down to a hotel. They get down to the hotel, and Beatty is following him. Now, I thought Beatty was going to get caught. I was nervous for Beatty. I said, Lord, she about to die. But I feel like he picked up the tail, but he was able to he picked up the tail, but Beatty didn't get caught up. But what ended up happening was he picked up the tail, so they did the bait and switch because nobody knows what the Greek looks like. So while Kima was at the car that he drove into the hotel, waiting on him in the parking garage, the Greek was actually the one that came back and got the car out of the garage. And I think it was Sergey, the number 2 guy. He got into a whole nother vehicle with one of their other little bodyguards and rolled out. So they lost the tail. So they went through this whole intricate plan, and they really didn't get nothing out of it. Now, Frank is down with the police, and, they're giving him the, well, we can look out for you. We can do this. We can do that. And Frank was like, wait a minute, what? He said, so while the unions were dying on the docks, and I was begging for anybody to help us, nobody had nothing for us. Nobody had time for us. Nobody had nothing to tell us. But now all of a sudden, you can help me. Now all of a sudden, you wanna help me, and you got something for me. He was like, yeah, whatever. So he ends up making bail because his charges really got busted down. At the end of the day, they really didn't have nothing on him, and his charges got busted down to I think he ended up with 1 charge of racketeering or something, which is still enough, but it wasn't like this long laundry list of charges. So he's able to make bail. So he ends up going to see Ziggy. And he's trying to talk to Ziggy. And he's like, well, how did this happen, Ziggy? How did we get here? And Ziggy told him, he said, listen, I just got sick and tired of being the butt of everybody's jokes. I got tired. I got tired of being talked to and treated like shit. And I snapped. And, as soon as it happened, I immediately regretted it. I saw the guy sitting in front of me. That's why he shoot the witness, which is going to be important in a second. But that's why he didn't kill him. He said, I clicked at that point, and I kind of came back to myself. And he was like, well, you could have came and talked to me if you were having a hard time. He was like, talk to you about what? If it ain't about the union, you don't care. If it's not about the union, you could care less about what's going on. So, no, I can't talk to you. He said, Mom, she be in her own little world. And he was like, don't talk about your mother. So you get the impression that maybe the mom deals with depression, because he was like, all she does is take another pill and goes to sleep. So she don't know what's going on. And so they had that father-son talk that they probably needed to have a long time ago, right? Then he goes and talks to his brother. And his brother lays him out. His brother was like, listen, you, not only did you get your son caught up in some bullshit, because now your son about to go to jail for murder, but you got my son caught up in drugs. And Frankie was like, I didn't get him caught up in drugs. Like, a couple of trucks coming up missing off the docks. Like, that's par for the course. Like, that's to be expected. But ain't nobody tell him to get caught up in drugs. So his brother was like, wait a minute. So what you're saying is it was okay for him to be a thief. He just wasn't supposed to be that kind of a thief. Nah, stop playing. Like, are you listening to yourself right now? Do you hear what you're saying? So it was cool for our kids to be thieves, but not drug dealers? Whatever. Miss me with that. So Prop Joe has organized this meeting between Omar and Stringer Bell, right? And Stringer Bell is letting him know, he was like, listen, you still looking for the dudes that did, your boyfriend last year. And Omar was like, we already took care of that, right? Like, it was you ordered the hit. He was like, I ordered the hit because you was stealing my shit. Okay, let's be clear. But I didn't have nothing to do with how they killed him. Like, all that torture, all that extra shit, that wasn't me. He was like, that was a dude by the name of Brother Musar out of New York. He's a hitman. And he did all of that. And Omar was like, so what you telling me this for? He was like, listen, I'm just, as an act of good faith, I'm just trying to extend that information. Now, Omar, I think to a certain extent, Omar believes it, but I think at the end of the day, Omar is still trying to figure out what's in it for me. Like, what is he really trying to get me to do? But he believes it enough that he starts staking out the little no-tell motel where Brother Musar is staying. And he watches him, you know, because, you know, Omar don't rush in. He pays attention. He stakes out the joints. So he's able to make the connection. You know, he sees that he got a hitman out, a bodyguard out front, but the bodyguard likes dogs, you know, and he gets his 2 women to show up with a dog to try to, you know, entice him. And while he's playing with the dog and talking to the ladies, you know, Omar hits him upside the head and he busts in on Brother Musar. So when Brother Musar sees Omar standing there with the gun, he was like, all right, do what you got to do. And Omar was like, what you mean, do what I got to do? He was like, listen, do what you got to do. He said, well, don't you even want to know why I'm here? Brother Musar was like, listen, when you done killed as many people as I've killed, at a certain point, you know somebody going to come looking for you. So do what you got to do. Like, it is what it is. So Omar does shoot him. And he said, now you need to know why I'm doing this. And Brother Musar starts praying and is really paying Omar no attention. So Omar tells him the story. This t-shirt is like right up on my neck, y'all. So Brother Musar he's explaining to him what happened. And he's telling him about a year ago, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. And Musar was like, a year ago in Baltimore? He said, sir, somebody gave you some bad intel. He said, I've killed a lot of people, but that wasn't one of them. I can promise you I was not in Baltimore on that day last year. Like, I didn't do it. So whoever told you I did it, they set you up. It is what it is, but it wasn't me. And so Omar was like, you could see it click that Omar realized that in the back of his mind, he knew something wasn't right, but he realized, okay, I got set the fuck up. So he actually ends up calling 911 and calls for an ambulance for him because the bullet was a through and through. So he was like, as long as you don't bleed out for the ambulance get here, you be all right. And so he asked him, he said, did you kill my bodyguard? And he was like, nah, he just taking a nap. He good. So Frank, now this whole scene I didn't really get. Frank goes down to the Union Hall and he gets a job, right? Working, loading and unloading trucks. And they make a big deal about him getting somebody's union card and using their union card to work. He told the guy, listen, you go home, you go sit on a bar stool and let me work for you today. And when the check come in, you can keep the money. But I guess that was his way of showing his guys that he was still one of them, or he was still, you know, a part of the crew or whatever, because that just didn't make no sense to me. But whatever. So they're sitting around the guys after they lose their tail, you know, Bunk and McNulty and Keem and all of them are sitting around trying to figure out, well, what's the next move? Like, that was a dud. What do we need to do next? And Beatty was like, listen, let me go talk to Frank. And they were like, are you sure? She said, listen, I think I can talk to him. Like, let me go talk to Frank. So she goes down to the Union Hall and she talks to Frank. And she convinces him to come in and talk to the police. She said, listen, maybe, you know, do the right thing. Like, at the end of the day, you might have been doing some hanky stuff down at the docks, but I know you're not a murderer. Like, I know that that's not you. And he was like, no, I didn't know anything about, you know, I didn't know about the girls. Like, that, I didn't have nothing to do with that. And she was like, I know you didn't. So come down, talk to the DA. She was like, listen, I can't make no promises, but at the end of the day, you got to do something to try to make this right. So Frank agrees. He goes down there and he talks to the DA. And he starts telling the DA what he knows. Now, mind you, this is an unofficial meeting because he doesn't have representation. And the DA was like, I just need to know what you know before I can start talking. Once he starts talking, she stops him and says, okay, so listen, stop. You need to go get a lawyer. And when you get a lawyer and you come back so we can make an official offer to you, then I promise you we can help you out. I want to say that they promised to help him out with his charges. So he was like, I can help you out with your charges, you know, whatever. So the FBI guy was there writing the notes, but it wasn't an official meeting, but he did take notes of the meeting. Now while that's going on, we have Spiros. That's what it was. It was Spiros, not Serge. Spiros, and we got the Greek they're meeting up. They done met back up and they're having dinner and they're deciding what the next move is gonna be. And so the Greek is basically like, listen, we just need to kill all our loose ends. Like, get rid of Frank, get rid of Nikki. Like, they're the only ones that really, can connect the dots with us. So we need to take care of them. Now, Spiros has sort of got a little soft spot for Nikki, right? And so he was like, listen, let me talk to him. I think I can talk to him so that we don't have to kill him. And let me just talk to him and sort of convince him what he should and shouldn't do. And so the Greek was like, you sure? Because like, I'm ready to just be like, let's wrap this up. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of them. And let's wrap this thing up. And he was like, no, let me talk to him. He said, because I got something that he wants. The witness of the shooting, he can just, their soft spot is Ziggy. And maybe I can convince them that if we can get Ziggy out of jail, then, they'll be loyal to us. And so the Greek ain't convinced, but he lets him know, okay, you can handle it. That's your plan. But if your plan don't work, we're going to go with my plan. So he meets up with Nikki and he tells Nikki, listen, he shows him a passport with a fake name and ID or whatever. He convinces Nikki, listen, I can do whatever I want. I got people in high places. I can make things happen. And he said, that witness that saw your nephew shoot Stannis, it'll go away. All of that's going to go away. And he was like, are you sure? He was like, yeah. If there's no witness, then he can't testify. Then, at the very least, the charges will be dropped to something a lot smaller than what he's facing right now, and maybe we can help y'all out. And so he was like, talk to your uncle and tell your uncle that we can get Nikki out of jail. Get Ziggy out of jail if y'all cooperate and y'all don't say nothing. Not cooperate, like don't say shit. But mind you, done already been down and talked to the police, right? So Nikki meets up with Frankie and tells Frankie what the deal is. Like, listen, the Greeks was like, listen, if we shut up and don't say nothing, they can get Ziggy out of jail. And he was like, they don't have that kind of power. He was like, listen, the witness that can testify against him, we know that he can, that basically he can get amnesia and not testify. And so Frank really don't want to get into bed with the Greeks. Like, he really wants to be done with the Greeks, but it's about getting his son out of jail. And so he's like, okay, fine, let me go talk to them. And Frankie was like, well, let me go with you. Nikki was like, let me go with you. And Frank said, nope, you're not coming with me. I'm going to go meet with them by myself. So as we see Frank heading on to go meet with the Greeks, right? While Frank is rolling on down the road to meet with the Greeks, those notes from the meeting he had with the DA, even though it wasn't an official meeting, they took notes. The FBI guy took notes. He typed up his notes. He faxed them over to the FBI. The FBI is putting them into the system. And just as Frank is rolling up to his meeting with the Greeks, what ends up happening? The inside guy gets the alert. The inside guy ends up calling over to the Greek. The Greek gets the message and he tells Spiros, your plan ain't gonna work. And that's how the episode ends, y'all. So we are down to the final episode. I told y'all I would finish this season before the end of the year. So y'all will definitely get the final episode before the end of the week. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.